I'm Symphony Privet. Thank you for joining us here on Featured. We hope to inspire or simply make you smile with some uplifting stories across the country. Let's head over to South Carolina first. That's where we find a homeowner who discovered hidden history buried underground on his property. A gravesite with no headstones. Anna King shows us how he's working to reclaim their lost dignity.
To live a life and be forgotten.
You can kind of see the marks from where it was worked, and then some of the other ones, such as this one, has a T on it, and the footstone has a T.
A fate too common for those whose voices were silenced by history. But the stumble of a discovery in one man's backyard may have brought forth history long buried beneath the layers of time.
When we initially looked at the property to purchase, the previous owner mentioned that there was a graveyard on site, and we thought we might have 30 or 40 out here.
But with the removal of trees from the property, a much larger story began to surface.
We can, without a doubt, say it's a gravesite is 144.
Slaves, lost to history, forgotten by society. Their names, their stories, all faded away. But for Andrew Lazenby, the discovery felt like a call to honor them and reclaim their lost dignity.
Being able to accurately assign names is close to impossible. Unfortunately, these folks, in the way that they were treated, did not have a chance to record family members and where they were buried.
Unknown and unlabeled due to the time. But today, each headstone, a silent tribute.
They can always be found. They won't get lost again.
The land, once a place where history was buried, now a sanctuary of remembrance.
These are actually folks that had hopes and dreams and lives and children. And, these folks, they really built what we have now.
Stories that may have been lost, but now are found.
That was Anna King reporting. You know that saying, don't judge a book by its cover? Think about how someone you cross paths with may seem to have it all together on the outside, but the truth is, you don't know what silent battles they are facing. Anyone, no matter the age, can experience mental health challenges. So that's why 3 high school students in Idaho came together to make sure people in their community know about the help that is available to them. And the best part is, it's free.
We have all been impacted by mental health, and our district has been impacted very heavily by mental health. We lost 4 of our peers in the past 2 years and a teacher before Christmas.
Losing our 4 peers was extremely hard on us as we saw them every day going to school, and now they're no longer with us.
It's just affected everyone, even if you didn't know the person personally.
And the students say they hope this mental health resource fair provides valuable solutions for their community. All right, now I want to introduce you to a fitness coach who is fighting to live after a life-threatening diagnosis. He's learned he has stage 4 lung cancer. This is a diagnosis that was a shock to him because he has never smoked a single cigarette. Sydney Moore shares how he is continuing to inspire other folks as he's fighting for more time.
3, 2, 1, 90 seconds hard.
As a fitness coach, 60-year-old Thad McLaurin finds purpose in serving the Greensboro community, choosing to make a difference in the lives around him.
90 seconds hard, pick it up, 90 hard.
And one of his favorite ways to do so is through his running club called the Renegades.
Can't tell you how many people have become best friends from totally different walks of life that have met through the running groups that we've had here. We're good, guys, we're good. Keep it going.
Just ask any of his runners. They tell you McLaurin is a great leader who challenges them in positive ways.
He pushes you. And it's kind of like this quiet push. He's like a quiet storm, I guess you could say.
They not only say he's uplifting,
We're good, guys, we're good. Keep it going.
but inspiring too. On the outside, it's easy to spot the happiness being a coach brings, but on the inside,
A few years ago, I probably wouldn't be here right now.
he's fighting a battle no person wants to fight, stage 4 lung cancer.
When they told me, I kind of felt like I was up here looking down at what was going on, it was very surreal. It makes you numb, it's a gut punch.
I remember one time while he was still running with us on the Greenway, I ran next to him and I was thinking, okay, Thad has lung cancer. I'm healthy, but he's out here just full of joy.
Prior to his diagnosis in 2023, he says he had a terrible cough that progressively got worse.
I started having, getting out of breath going upstairs, stuff that I would never have ordinarily experienced. So I insisted on an in-person visit.
He then got an x-ray that didn't turn out good and was sent to a pulmonologist.
And she confirmed that it was lung cancer.
The news came to a shock for McLaurin. He has no family history and has never smoked a day in his life.
If you combine the former smoker and the never smoker together, they represent around 60% of our patients.
Dr. Muhammad, an oncologist with Cone Health, is part of McLaurin's care team. He says while smoking is the #1 cause of lung cancer, there are several other reasons a person could be diagnosed with lung cancer, including secondhand smoking.
The most common cause for people who never smoked a cigarette to have lung cancer is radon exposure. And radon is a gas. It's a decay gas from uranium in the ground.
After the diagnosis, McLaurin underwent chemotherapy and radiation. Dr. Muhammad then recommended different treatment plans to help manage the cancer.
Luckily, our patient has EGFR mutation, which is one of the most common mutation we see in lung cancer in non-smoker. And he's taken an oral drug, which is a target therapy, and it works better and with less side effects than what we would have done with chemo.
McLaurin has now been living with stage 4 cancer for 2 years. Thankful for the doctors and treatment plans that have given him more time.
I mean, there's always a chance of a miracle, but more than likely it's just something that we'll have to manage. But the goal is just to have a good quality of life.
A good quality of life is exactly how McLaurin chooses to live.
I still do 4 fitness classes with people during the week. I'm not running quite as much, but I can run, so yeah.
And the runners that he coaches are there to remind him of that perspective. Happy birthday to you. Just recently, they surprised him at the end of a session, showing their appreciation for all he's done for them. A simple birthday song became more than just a tune. It was a reminder that the people he gives so much to are the same ones who stand with him in the fight.
What a great story. That one was from Sydney Moore. Now let's talk about purging your closet. You know, you might have a pile of things you plan to keep and another pile of things you plan to donate or get rid of. Sometimes items mistakenly get thrown into the wrong pile. Now that is the reason this blanket you see here went on a bit of a trip, even though it wasn't supposed to leave home. Now here's what happened. It may look like an ordinary blanket, but Libby Shelby says it has sentimental value. When Shelby was pregnant, her friends knitted the blanket as a gift for her.
For us, we just wanted Libby to feel loved.
To have something that not only like symbolizes my relationship with my friends, but also like my daughter being included in this community of makers. Being both my kids used it all the time and loved it very much.
Sadly, the beloved blanket was mistakenly donated to a local thrift store. Days went by before Libby noticed, and by that time it was too late. The blanket was no longer there. That is when Shelby went to social media for help. The community quickly rallied behind her. The thrift store put up posters, and even her neighbors kept an eye out for the blanket.
It has just been really cool to see how many people in the community care about something that they're not even directly connected to.
Now the search had a happy ending. We are glad to report this part. A Good Samaritan found the blanket and returned it to Shelby. Don't go anywhere. Here's what you can expect on Featured.
New slang words are called brain rot words.
Delulu, cooked, vibe check. You know, sometimes parents just don't understand. Well, don't worry, we are helping you unpack some of the new slang terms kids are using. Can't wait for that one. Plus, a look inside a unique bar where romance novels are the center of attention. And a bit later, two become one. We'll show you how one couple is cementing their love on holy ground. Welcome back. You know, there are many places people find love: in grocery stores, at work, online. One of our production members told me he met his wife at the movie theater years ago. It all worked out. Well, Devin Bartolotta shows us sometimes you can even find love on a bumpy road.
Once in a lifetime, if we're all so lucky, we find someone who perfectly fills a space, or maybe a hole, in our heart.
I'm just happy to be married to this lady.
Kevin Nguyen and Monica Rush cemented their love on Valentine's Day.
Finally.
In a heart-shaped hole that's been slowly sinking into Felicity Street for more than a decade.
I've never been known to be one to turn down a crazy idea.
In July, the couple entered and won a contest by Instagram page Look at This Street. It included free services by Second Line Photography, Just Cake by Wendy, and officiant Devin McNair. The only speed bump? They'd have to get married in a New Orleans pothole. No shortage of venue options, at least.
We won like the lottery of weddings, not the scratch off of weddings.
Soon, Piano on a Truck and Bloom's Botanica offered their services.
I asked her, how much are we leaning into the pothole thing? And she's like, let's go.
Look at This Effing Street invited its 130,000 person audience. And when the big day came, followers, friends, and family showed up in style. Traffic cones guided the groom and his parents from Felicity Church, and the bride wore a classic gown with a caution tape accent.
Welcome, family and friends, to Monica and Kevin's truly groundbreaking wedding ceremony.
The puns write themselves.
We stand here quite literally on holy ground.
But the vows, those came from the heart.
I will tell you daily how proud I am of you, how grateful I am for you, and how deeply I love you.
Thank you for being right about us. Thank you for loving me. I cannot wait for the rest of our lives.
The newly minted Nguyen's know that, much like roads, relationships sometimes take work. They got together in 2019 when Kevin was in pharmacy school in Chicago. But 1 month in, detour. Monica, an LSU grad, took a job with WWL Louisiana and moved to New Orleans. The 3.5 years of long distance went on longer than a sewerage and water board project. But eventually, the road to love led Kevin to New Orleans, too. Just Cake by Wendy included the Tinder logo as a nod to their beginnings on their wedding cake. Okay, back to the pothole.
I love you now and always.
With some words of wisdom from Monica's Aunt Lana and the exchange of rings.
I now pronounce you partners in life.
The green light.
Kevin, you may kiss your bride.
If only all the sinkholes in New Orleans could be filled with this much joy.
Kevin, kiss your wife.
Congratulations to Monica and Kevin. May you always take time for the scenic route and have only smooth roads ahead.
I love that story, and they celebrated in a way that only folks in New Orleans know how to. That was Devin Bartolotta reporting. Now, there's a new kind of bookstore that is getting a lot of love in Colorado. Let's check it out. Teresa Woodard introduces us to the mother-daughter team behind The Plot Twist. It's a book bar where romance is always on the menu.
Unfortunately, I think they're all sold out of book
All the book ones are gone, yeah.
Take some best-selling books at a beautiful bar.
This is The Plot Twist, our signature drink.
And you could have a recipe for romance.
I'm drinking
That's
your drink.
mine.
Too bad.
But what if all the books...
It's local authors. We have a Spanish section, contemporary books, historical.
...are about romance.
This is our romantasy shelf, so it's fantasy with romance.
That appears to be a perfect recipe for success.
You just opened to the public, so what does it feel like right now?
A lot of gratitude.
Dawn Connor and Darcy Middleton are mother-daughter co-owners of The Plot Twist, a new romance book bar in Denton. Not every story they sell is steamy, but every story is about love.
Whose vision was it?
It was hers.
It originated as mine.
Yes, it was hers. And I'm like, what? No, we have to sell other books. It has to be an all-inclusive kind of thing. She's like, no, I promise.
Clearly, the promise was kept. Look at the hours-long line opening day.
Well, I'm so glad you're back again today.
Yes.
And on Plot Twist's third day, they already had a repeat customer.
So you just had to see how empty the shelves got?
Today's my birthday, so I said I can get one more book.
Happy birthday! stats for last year are not in just yet, but in the U.S., printed romance novels saw a 52% increase in sales from 2022 to 2023.
Romance books, I think, have always gotten a bad rap because it's not real literature, as they say, but sometimes I feel like it is the most profound literature that I've read because it's not always about romantic relationship with a partner. The ones that I've really connected with are sometimes more about that self-love and that self-discovery.
Darcy's own self-discovery led her here.
It's called Throne of Glass.
Teaching high school chemistry had burned her out.
It's your own plot twist.
It is, exactly.
They consider Plot Twist a safe space where no one feels ashamed about the books they love.
I'm so impressed with what you guys have done.
Oh, thank you.
One part bookstore.
Cheers.
One part bar.
This is so good.
Yeah, no, that's really
I'm
good.
glad I got one.
It's the plot twist, right?
And a whole new chapter begins.
Thank you.
In Denton, I'm Teresa Woodard.
We'll be right back with more good news to share. Here's a look at what's ahead on Featured. Patches of Hope will show you how a growing community is showing support for a little girl in Connecticut. Oh, I can't wait to see what this one is about. Kids learning about their roots through dance. Get ready to bust a move because we'll join the class right after this break. Don't miss it. The history of Black music and dance is taking center stage at a middle school in Connecticut. Keith McGilvery introduces us to an instructor who uses her talents to get the kids moving as she teaches them about their past.
Whenever you're feeling it, no pressure.
The sounds of Soul Train fill the air in Miss Tina's dance class.
Kool and the Gang, probably some Michael Jackson, and even some James Brown.
And fancy footwork
Glide, 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 switch it up.
fills the floor.
Dance is the language of the soul, so we're using our bodies and following the movement to show that.
These 7th graders at Covenant Prep in Hartford are learning the history of Black music and dance. Amari Baker is one of Miss Tina's students.
What I love about Miss Tina is she does a lot of interactive stuff.
The month-long course goes back to the time of slavery, with influence from the 1950s, the 1970s, and today.
Different moves that we might know today, even like from Kendrick Lamar's Squabble Up, this little, it's all back from the swing and the twist and all those different things that they're learning. And they're also learning like, wait, the original is a lot more fun to do.
The moves are creating a magical connection at the school. Its all-male student body is largely made up of Black and brown 5th to 8th graders, including Josue Jones, who's learning quickly.
I didn't know what to expect until I started to dance, and then I started to flow with the music, and then every week I just learned new dance moves, and I just stuck with it.
What's important to me as an educator is to be able to teach them what I wasn't taught in school.
And to celebrate their roots.
They're gonna understand that there once was a time where we couldn't be highlighted, and now we're at a place where we can be and celebrate that.
Miss Tina says she knows what she's doing is making an impact when she sees her students show off their new move.
It means I did my job. It means I was able to make a difference in these kids' lives with something that they might not have been exposed to before.
As that was Keith McGilvery reporting. Now, when your favorite song comes on, do you know you hit a little two-step? Or maybe you just prefer to sit there and nod your head. Well, my buddy Keith, who we just heard from in that story, he has been lucky enough, I'm gonna say lucky, to hear me belt out some Whitney Houston or some Toni Braxton at 4 a.m. for the past few years. And if you were like me, you pretend you're on your own little world tour, turns out there is a science to why some people really feel the music. Listen up, it turns out the natural urge to move to the rhythm may be hardwired into our brains. Yeah, scientists actually call this the groove. Now, the study shows that moving along to music could be a pivotal part to how we enjoy it. I'd say so. In fact, researchers say even folks who don't enjoy dancing may still feel a little urge to sway along to catchy beats. All right, let's check out what's trending. Now, when it comes to slang, gone are the days of LOL or BRB. That was back in the 90s and 2000s. Well, now the kids are saying things like op, aura point or crash out. I've borrowed that one. Now, if you're confused about the new lingo your kids are using, you're not alone. Even Sister actress Tamara Mowry Housley was thrown for a loop when her son decided to give her a little pop quiz. Take a look.
What do you think Riz means? I heard Riz comes from the word charisma. They're really cool. Am I right? No?
Riz means you have game, Mom.
Okay, well, she wasn't completely wrong. It is from the word charisma. Let's see how she does with this next one.
Yacht.
Oh, yacht. I've heard this. I have overheard your conversations with your bros. It means someone's butt. They have a gyat. A big gyat means a big butt. Am I right? Yes. After this, is Mom down with the brain rots?
I mean, kind of.
Kind of? I'll take that. I'll take that.
How embarrassing for that little man. Mama's overhearing him talking about behinds. I guess, sometimes, we just have to celebrate our victories, no matter how small. Now, if your kid has ever complained about being bored, you should tell them it's good for them. And that was one thing I never wanted to say around Mama Privet. She would hand me a rag and tell me to go clean the baseboards. Never tell Mama Privet you're bored. Let's dig into this one. A psychologist at Cleveland Clinic says boredom helps to teach kids how to entertain themselves. It pushes them to be creative, independent, and imaginative. Experts say these skills can be helpful as they get older. I agree. Coming up on Featured, a windshield broken by flying metal. Whoa. And the driver who was hit by it. We take you back to the moment of impact.
You're always rushing. You never really think about the things that really matter.
What really matters to this 9-year-old is showing up. We have a look at how he's taking the time to say thank you to a Vietnam veteran. With us on Featured, I'm Symphony Privet, and we are bringing you some uplifting stories across the country. I want you to check out your screen here. This scary moment caught on camera in Washington State. Here's what's going on. A school bus driver was hit by a piece of metal that flew through his windshield while kids were on the bus. Oh my goodness, this all happened on a busy interstate, but miraculously, people on the bus stepped in to help him. Jim Nelson shares the incredible story. Take a look.
So this is the windshield of the bus.
Through school bus windshields, Stuart O'Leary has seen a lot of miles.
It was a very quick, violent impact.
But never had he ever seen anything like this.
And it came in at about 60 miles an hour.
Through that windshield came that metal bar. That's the moment he was hit. A routine trip down I-405 from Bothell to Snoqualmie on February 7th, driving the North Creek High School girls basketball team to a game at Mount Si. Stewart was going about 60 miles per hour when just before Bellevue, that chunk of metal smashed through the glass, smacking him in the chest.
There was a certain amount of pain, and I also noticed that as I slowed down, the blood was dripping down my face because glass shards had impacted.
Two coaches calmly guided him, the bus, and the team to safety. The pictures tell the story. The hole in the windshield, the perfect fit of that bar, and the path it took.
One of the coaches had taken this piece of metal and put it on the dash, and I stood up and I go, that's going with me. I need that.
And the surreal view of the bus stopped on the freeway, snapped by Stewart himself.
And I said, oh, hang on a minute. I got to take a picture.
As Bellevue firefighters wheeled him away.
I certainly have a bruise and a pretty good hematoma, but, they checked me out, nothing broken, so it's all good.
He was back to work just days later.
And I said, put me in, coach. If I had any reservations about my abilities, I certainly would have not done that because it's the primary directive, transport kids in a safe manner. I didn't want to violate that.
And that was Jim Nelson reporting. When the temperatures drop, many of us have the luxury of just turning up the heat in our homes. But for the unhoused, they have to brave the frigid temps. And that is why a nonprofit over in Ohio is taking action to help. Annabelle Childers explains their mission.
There really should be no homeless in America. There is no reason that we should have homeless people in America.
3 years in as a volunteer with Sub-Zero Mission, Nick Ajinovich still gets emotional talking about the organization's work. Every winter, Sub-Zero Mission volunteers suit up in blue coats and travel on missions across northern Ohio.
We will walk through the streets where we find the homeless, and then we will ask them, do they need anything?
Volunteers hand them a bag full of socks, gloves, and hats, and people in need can come to their trucks to get coats and boots in their size. Those in blue, meeting those without a home exactly where they are.
You try to convince them, but some of them just, this is their home, and they're not going to leave their home. So all you can do is try to understand their situation and help them out in any way that you can.
Sub-Zero Mission was formed by veterans in 2009 with a goal of helping veterans going through homelessness. The mission captured the attention of James Heido, a combat veteran himself who understands the importance of shared experience when coming into this space.
You immediately have that sense of brotherhood, sisterhood kind of scenario when you start to approach someone.
While the volunteers help everyone they find in need, they work to identify homeless veterans specifically and help connect them with long-term help.
Working with them hand in hand, getting them through, levels of transportation to go to sobriety classes or anything that may be, and know that they have that fighting chance for a second chance at life at that point.
What a great mission. That was Annabelle Childers reporting. A 9-year-old is making a positive impact in an unlikely place. Sean Martinelli takes us to Virginia for a tale that crosses generations.
At this Annandale, Virginia assisted living home.
We've been married 36 years.
That was Bill and Linda Ethington then.
Yeah.
Bill's now been diagnosed with dementia.
So
Linda knew this time in Bill's life would come. She did not expect it to include someone.
Hi.
Hi.
My name's Everett.
Like this.
So yeah, he's quite remarkable. We all think.
Everett Askew first visited here after a trip to the U.S. Army Museum. There, he asked his mom, Angela, a question.
Mom, who's thanking all the veterans at the nursing homes? And I said, I'm sure they have some kind of ceremony for them, but I don't really know. And he's like, well, I want to do it.
So last November, he did. Flags in hand, Everett suited up and showed up. That's where he met Bill, who served our country in Vietnam.
He's nonverbal, yet there was communication happening, and it was beautiful. And Everett felt the connection with him as well.
It was just very special to me. And today we're going to be reading Grandpa's Teeth.
The visits became regular. Through his monthly story time sessions, Everett visits both Bill and the entire community.
And seeing them light up, it's really fun. It makes me feel good inside. I may never speak the same again.
Everett reads a story, then he takes time to simply listen.
He's very much a proud veteran.
He listens to the tales of his heroes.
He always loved taking people to the Vietnam Wall.
I always say, thank you for your service. Not one time I've ever missed one.
In these visits, Everett's found something others often miss.
You're always rushing. You never really think about the things that really matter.
And what matters here is slowing down and showing up.
And without even having to say anything, I think that Bill is inspiring Everett.
Bye, Mr. Bill.
In Annandale, Virginia.
Yeah, it's very special of you.
That was Sean Martinelli reporting. A grassroots effort to do some good is underway. It is called Hope for Hailey. Hailey is a 3-year-old with a rare disease, and she is getting ready for a major surgery. Jim Altman takes us to Connecticut, where a growing community is rallying behind her.
Milford.
She's only 3 years old.
Waldoboro.
And she stands just 3 feet tall.
New Canaan, Granby.
But Hailey has quite a reach.
So they're coming from all over the world, which we did not expect.
In Newington, Hailey Wetmore insists on being front and center.
Where did this energy come from?
And behind her are first responders joining her fight. That fight involves a surgery next January that will keep Hailey inside the ICU at Boston Children's Hospital for more than 2 months.
So Hailey is diagnosed with something called cloacal exstrophy, where it affects her GI system, her renal system, her urinary system, and her lower extremities.
The organic initiative began on Facebook a week ago.
Brattleboro.
It's called Hope for Hailey.
This one's really cool. Salem.
Mom Kira is an EMT in Rocky Hill.
This is from the Montville Police Department.
Dad Justin is a Milford firefighter. Their simple plea was just to ask for patches.
My husband and I are both first responders. Hailey is obsessed with Paw Patrol, so that's kind of where this all started.
And somehow now there's power behind these patches.
Kara, we talked a week ago when you first started this, and I said, well, how many patches did you have? And you said 7.
Yeah.
I said, I think we should wait.
Yeah.
Were we right? Should we have waited?
I think it's a good thing we waited.
How many are we talking?
443 is our current count. Yeah, we have them coming from Germany, from Canada. The post is making its way around Australia right now.
They keep coming in.
That was a cool one.
All shapes and all sizes. What's uniform here is that the hope for Hailey is growing.
Seeing her face when she opens a new patch, the love and support that people have shown, and just knowing that that many people are in our corner cheering her on and supporting her, and it means everything to us.
In Newington.
From the power of a patch, yep.
That was Jim Altman reporting. I hope she gets even more patches after this story. Well, let's head over to Indiana now, where there's a runner pounding the pavement to evoke change in his community. Karen Campbell speaks to him about his mission to educate and encourage other men to put their health first.
Evan Taylor wasn't always a runner.
I played basketball growing up.
He would later find a community to help keep him active.
When I joined Black Men Run, running a 5K every Saturday, I was like, this is something different. I'm used to a quick out and back.
He fell in love with Black Men Run, a group that started in 2013 that's now nationwide. The group encourages health and wellness among Black men. While heart disease is the leading cause of death of all U.S. adults, it's more prevalent in Black Americans. In fact, according to the American Heart Association, nearly 60% of Black men and women suffer from cardiovascular disease.
Black men die at a disproportionate rate from cardiovascular diseases. And so a mix of that being the inactive lifestyle, also where Black folks typically live, you don't have the best options for food.
Taylor says he wants to make sure he doesn't become a statistic.
I want to be able to see my son grow and have a healthy lifestyle. I also try to stay in shape because when he becomes between 10 to 15, I still want to be able to beat him in that local pickup game or that foot race.
Taylor became an ambassador for Black Men Run Indianapolis chapter, encouraging others to take care of their health, not only physically, but educating members about proper nutrition and focusing on mental and emotional health.
Being Black in America continues to be very stressful. So all of those things on the Black male body, you need something to get some of that stress and energy off of you.
Black men who come together for more than just running, they form a bond, a brotherhood.
If you walk with us just a mile, you've lapped everybody on the couch. And so as long as you're up and moving and active, that's our main goal for all Black men.
A simple step that can lead to a healthier future.
That was Karen Campbell reporting. That's right. Get up and get active, but don't go too far. We have much more for you ahead on Featured. We head to a school to find out how one teacher is spreading positive vibes from the classroom to the hallways. Plus, you know, they say to never mix business with pleasure, but one tech company isn't following that rule. We will explain why managers are giving out booze on the job. Welcome back. You know, teachers have a profound impact on student success inside and outside of the classroom. And that is why it is important that we continue to support them. But, you know, the job isn't easy. But for teachers like Miss Brianna Tanner, it is definitely worth it. Kanisha Diaz has her story in Alabama.
When you meet Brianna Tanner,
hey girl,
it's more than just hello.
You know, a little hug, a little high five goes a long way.
Whether it's in the hall or the classroom.
They're definitely our kids, and we do our very best to make sure that they know that from AM all the way to the PM.
And Tanner's kiddos are...
Yes, my kinder darlings. I love them.
She gets to interact with kids of all ages. Working as an extended day teacher too, but it's something about those kinder darlings.
Everything is the most exciting thing for them. Everything is really big for them, and they're also at that foundational stage in life. You can really help them to become who they are going to be in life. You can affirm them, you can help guide them in their right way, and they also just give like the best hugs.
Tanner has been at Madison Elementary School for 4 years, and her principal, Wendy Farrow, says Tanner always exudes enthusiasm.
Just always has a smile on her face and a positive attitude, even when things may not be, you know, going her way or having a bad day, but she's just always positive.
Here are some of Tanner's favorite things to do in her classroom.
We count, we draw, we write, but some of my favorite things really just to do is just to really talk to them and build relationships with them. And we do journals, we write letters to each other, so just keeping our community really strong is probably my favorite thing about the classroom.
Tanner admits it's not always an easy journey with her kinders.
Absolutely, it's definitely challenging some days, but I think the thing that keeps me the most motivated is knowing that I'm planting a seed every day and their families get to water it, and then we get to watch them grow and become who they're supposed to be. And I hope that they remember me. If anything, I hope that they always remember me.
Beautiful. That was Kanisha Diaz reporting. Teachers play such a pivotal role in kids' lives, and here is one who made an impact in mine. Behind me is Mr. Jeff Pribble, my high school journalism teacher. He is a large part of the reason why I am a journalist today. So back in 11th grade, I had just moved to Pensacola, Florida, and I decided to try some different electives. Journalism was one of them. Mr. Pribble here was a former newspaper reporter, and then he decided to go into teaching. And in Mr. Pribble's classroom, I found a new way to express myself, my creativity, and I discovered how much I enjoy storytelling and the powers of journalism. So thank you, Mr. Pribble. I hope I can get this to him. I got to find him on Facebook or something to let him know that he definitely had such a huge impact on my life and give him an update on where I'm at now. All right, let's stick with school now. At an era where budget cuts are the norm for school districts, a high school student in western Wisconsin got quite the surprise from a former student, that is, who did not forget those formative high school years some 78 years ago. Wow. Alicia Lewis explains.
Going over the river and through the woods, you end up here, the small village of Osceola, Wisconsin.
I just love this community. It does have that small town vibe, but it's just so warm and welcoming.
Go to the gas station, everyone's very friendly. The grocery store, they're really friendly. Come here, they're really friendly.
And at the center of this tight-knit community, Osceola High School, a place where students have had some of their fondest formative coming-of-age years in their lives.
The beauty of high school is no matter what's happening in the world, it can be a really great place for kids to grow and blossom.
Osceola Superintendent Rebecca Stiles has seen many students walk these halls and leave a lasting impact. But nothing quite like Millicent Lindahl from the graduating class of 1947. And although she never knew this former grad, she does now. Superintendent Stiles got a surprising email about Millie, who passed away in 2021, and wanted to leave her high school some money. The amount, shocking.
It was like, that seems unbelievable.
Millie left the high school $1.8 million, with more to come.
We were absolutely dumbfounded by the amount that it was. So we were like, okay, who is this person?
In a town where seemingly everyone knows everyone, Millie Lindahl, who later became Millie Chapman, was an unknown, at least until now.
We enacted the Historical Society because You don't have a lot. You have yearbooks. That's pretty much what we have as far as history of school. She tagged Osceola High School because it was a place that brought her great happiness.
Based on the yearbooks, Millie was an active student in drama club, part of the yearbook committee, school newspaper, and a cheerleader.
This doesn't happen to public schools very often, where someone's like, hey, here we have this for you.
But for Millie, she felt it was home.
I think it was a place where she found herself, where she could be who she wanted to be. It was one of the happiest times of her life, and that's what she held on to.
Up next, this cat we're about to show you, it's not your typical pet. After the break, find out how this little furry friend went from stray to star. Hey there, so glad you came back. Now, we are about to meet a sweet cat who recently won a big award. Jeff Zevelis shows us the story behind Newsweek's first Pet of the Year.
For years, Newsweek magazine has honored a Pet of the Week, but never a Pet of the Year until now. It's a Cinderella story, how this orange tabby named Noah went from street cat to Newsweek Pet of the Year.
Some people would say he's more like a dog than a cat.
After Noah's morning sunbath,
All right, Noah, let's go see Uncle Bob.
Kathleen Kastner takes the coolest cat on the block for his favorite walk.
How are you today?
Across the street to see their neighbor, Bob.
Wow, Bob. You ever been visited by a cat before?
Quite regularly since Noah moved in, and we have two of our own, but he's very special, this one.
I'll say, in December, Noah was voted Newsweek's first ever Pet of the Year.
I was floored.
After winning Pet of the Week, Kathleen asked all of her friends to vote for Noah for Pet of the Year.
I did a huge campaign. He kind of won by a landslide.
But things haven't always been easy for this shelter cat, who's kind of an escape artist.
He pushed himself through a window screen at 10 o'clock at night, and I thought I would never see him again, and I was in my robe crying.
When Noah finally came home, Kathleen asked her husband to build a catio. You know, cat plus patio equals catio.
For her birthday present, she wanted a catio expansion.
Wade Mortensen sank his claws into the project.
He loves it. He's out here every morning at the crack of dawn.
Deep down, Noah's an outdoor cat, which is how he ended up here. Kathleen's volunteered here at the Rancho Coastal Humane Society for 8 years. And 6 years ago, this is where she adopted Noah.
Kathleen went above and beyond. She came, she fell in love with Noah.
John Van Zanny, the shelter's public relations director, knows a headline when he sees one.
How do we feel about having a Rancho Coastal alumni out there who's famous? Well, they're all famous to somebody. It's just with Noah, Noah's a little more famous.
Karma Cats to the rescue. Here's Noah.
Kathleen even wrote a children's book series called The Karma Cats. And guess who the star is?
He's a huge part of our family. Our family wouldn't be the same without him.
You know what I love about animals? Noah has no idea that he's famous.
I know. I keep telling him, but I don't think he understands yet.
Maybe he does know. I mean, just look at that stray cat strut. In the Zevelis zone.
Oh, Noe, I'm so proud of you.
Jeff Zevelis.
All right, take a look at this opossum. It was rescued by the Nebraska Wildlife Rehab after it ate an entire chocolate cake from Costco. I know someone else who can take down a chocolate cake from Costco. Officials there say the opossum was mobile and alert, but was panting heavily. They say the opossum needs a little rehab and a change in diet before being deemed safe to return to the wild. The nonprofit group has joked that the opossum has become cranky about its zero chocolate policy. I feel you on that, little possum. All right, now before we go, let's take a trip overseas where a Japanese tech company is offering time off for hangovers. Yeah, you heard that correctly. Now, the policy doesn't necessarily mean employees can take off the entire day, though. Workers who are supposed to report at 9 a.m. can instead come in a little later at noon and not face any consequences. Wow. We need that for Super Bowl Sunday, or Monday, that is, the Monday after the Super Bowl. Now, the company also provides beer, tap, and other alcoholic beverages. This is apparently an effort to keep young workers on staff. Wow. All right, that's it for Featured. I hope you found something that inspired you.